Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got the Collinson feed silo and we're just going to unload it. I've got the pallet forks on and the manatee. Hopefully that'll be enough to get it off and we can put it somewhere until we then move it onto the concrete slab which we put up last week. Well, here she is, the Collinson silo. This is what we're going to use to store all of our nuts this winter. Last year we put the nuts in the shed. This year we're going to put them in this bin. We can just let the nuts out with a shuttle, which will be quite handy, into the teleporter bucket. And there it is, so it's a kit form. There's a couple of holes there for the pallet tines. And then that's the stand kit, so that's the legs for the feed bin.
Got it. Easy.
So I've just managed, we've put her on the pallet tines. These are apparently designed for the tines, so they won't slip out. And now we've got to find a place to drop the feed bin in the yard so that it's safe. Do not drop the feed bin. We'll put the legs on soon, but first we've got to drill bolts holes in the floor through the concrete, and then we can put the stands on. For the most part we've got it off. I've just left the pallet tines in to add a bit of extra weight so that if it's windy, hopefully the pallet tines will help just weigh it down. But it just about fits on there. Just about fits. Yeah. The model we went for is called a TriStar. This can hold 6 tons of feed. They normally do it in a galvanised finish, but we asked for this coating, which is an optional extra, just to make it last a bit longer. And it's also got just some level holes you can see there, so we can check how much feed's in the bin at any one time. And that's where they blow the feed in from the side when we get a refill. Yeah, this is going to be ideal. Perfect for what we want. Lovely old job. And then here's a kit so that we can empty the feed bin with the teleporter. So if we pull up with a bucket, we'll have a slide in the bottom there, which will extend out from the feed bin, and we can put food directly into the bucket, which we really wanted as an extra, because we don't want to be carting around too many small buckets of feed. We want to get the feed out into the telehandler bucket, which is a lot more efficient, so that we can fill up our creep feeders and feed hoppers around the yard. This system here, this is part of the slide kit. Alright, well we've got the feed bin now, and it's just got to be installed, which will be later on in the week. So I'm just now doing my farm work around the farm today, and luckily I'm in the cab today, as you can see. Been able to get out of the rain whilst I'm doing my muck jobs. And I was listening to Farming Today this morning, and they were talking again about the current meat crisis and the culling of pigs and animals here in the UK. It's a negative one today, and it's also a positive. We've got some good news and we've got some bad news today. They were talking about meat imports. Meat imports in this country, in the UK, are now on the rise, and our UK output is going down. So the amount of meat which we're producing in this country is being reduced. And part of that is due to the labour shortage in the abattoirs. Part of it's also down to the CO2 shortage we've got for the poultry and for the pig industry as well. And that's all been caused due to the shortage of gas, the CO2 gas, due to the American company which is in trouble here in the UK, and the government's trying to help them by bailing them out, but it's not really working very well because it's just causing everything to become very expensive. And so consequently we're now looking to the east, to Eastern Europe, to produce our meat in this country. And what's happened over the COVID crisis, over lockdown, is that the majority of Eastern European workers in this country, in the UK, have gone back, flown back to their home countries, such as Poland, the Czech Republic, Romania, Bulgaria, they've actually found out that due to the weakening pound and also due to a high demand globally for food, they can actually make a better living by staying in Eastern Europe. And funnily enough, just a few years ago, before COVID, I lived and worked in the Czech Republic for 6 months, and I said back then, the Czech Republic is a very up-and-coming part of the world, and so is the rest of Eastern Europe as well, because they can produce food there at such a cheap rate by comparison to the UK. So for UK farmers, it's a very difficult one at the moment, because there's going to be less and less produced here in this country, and there's more going to be produced elsewhere around the world, such as Eastern Europe, South America, North America as well, where they're able to produce food on a much larger scale, but also for a much lower cost per acre or per head of animal, whatever it might be. There was an interesting story as well. This is another part of the problem, is that we can't actually get enough people in this country to work. There was an interesting story last year in 2020 in the Daily Mail, and there was a farmer who took on 50 English workers, so these were English workers, not from other parts of the world, and he ended up with just 6 or 7 left out of 50 English workers who had been put on furlough, and he'd asked them to come and work on his farm. So I think that just alone proves that, you know, we just can't get the people to work on the farms here in this country. European fruit workers shun Britain. Lower pound value, too much paperwork, regulation to enter the country. PCR tests due to COVID has not been ideal for our Eastern European workers here in this country to come and work here, because it's just too expensive for them. They don't want the hassle of coming here and working for not a lot of money. By the time they take in consideration the taxes, the weakened pound, it's just not worth it for them. So they're better off staying in the Eastern Bloc, buckling down and getting going over there. And this is only going to get worse. There's going to be more and more food produced from the other parts of the world. So what can the British farmer do? How can we have a positive mindset in these dark times? Well, the advice is to go for higher value niche markets. So if you're a British farmer, look at what you're producing and work out, maybe we can produce something here which is a higher quality product, something a little bit better than the rest, which can be sold in lower volumes but for higher value, for higher return. We've got lamb on this farm, we've got beef and lamb, and all of our lamb is grass fed. From the moment a lamb is born on this farm to the moment a lamb is slaughtered, it only ever eats grass here. And what's the selling point? Well, it's something which can be sold in high-end restaurants, Michelin star hotels, celebrity chefs. If we could get British lamb out to celebrity chefs, that would be absolutely fantastic. And social media influencers. Why can't we get British lamb out to social media influencers who are involved in cooking, fashion, culture and art? Perhaps that's something we could get into. And fashion. Let's make it fashionable to eat British lamb. Try and promote eating British lamb as a high quality sort of niche market, which will become fashionable, and it's something people will want to eat. They'll want to say to their friends and to their family, well, I had some British lamb last night, I had a rack of lamb with mint sauce and it was absolutely fantastic. Let's get the word out there. Let's move British lamb and British produce to a higher band and try and promote it as a high quality product, as a top quality product that it is. Because that is the future for British farmers, not going for the mass scale market of cheap mass food, because we're not going to be in that game anymore. There's too many farms from all over the world who are doing that. We need to focus on quality, not quantity, and that is the key. So there we are. If you're a British farmer based in the UK, try and work out what you can sell for a better premium. What value have you got on your farm? Is there something you're producing which is a specialty niche? Something which is fantastic? Work out what it is and see if you can market it to the right buyer. Be positive. Try and turn this negative experience we're going through at the moment in the UK into a positive one. On this farm here, we're going to try and go for some higher quality British grass-fed lamb and beef, and that's our market. That's what we need to focus on. Selling it to high-end restaurants, selling it to individuals who care about where their food comes from, people who are looking for quality over quantity.
You've got it.